going on, fellow junkies? Horror Junkies 519. Kyle the 13th coming at you again today, you guys, and I want to welcome you guys. I'm just going to tell you like this. You just stepped into another blood-soaked, steaming pile of Franchise Fridays. So, I want to go ahead and first say Happy Friday to you all. I hope you guys will have set up for a great, killer weekend. But like always, you guys, I have not done a Franchise Fridays in quite a while, and I've been wanting to do one. I have a week off, so what the hell? Let's do it this week. It's going to be a good fun one, I hope. I went ahead and already picked the franchise, you guys. It's one I haven't watched in quite a while. I don't even think I've watched an installment in quite a while. So, I picked this one, and I hope it's going to be a good time. And so, let's get right into this episode of the Franchise Fridays. If you guys remember how I do this, I'm going to go ahead and watch each part of the franchise. And once I finish that, I'll come back, film a little bit, talk about that movie. Just small things here and there. I'm not going to go too crazy because this is not going to be a review of each one. It's going to be a spotlight of this franchise and all that it consists of. However movies that is. So, let's get right into this and let's see if I remember how to do this. It's been a long time. So, what franchise did I pick this time? Well, you know, just for shits and giggles, I'm going with the Wrong Turn franchise, you guys. I remember liking just about every installment of this franchise, so I think this is going to be a good time. So, I got to watch 6 movies this time, so this will hereby, as far as the new versions of the Franchise Fridays, is going to be the longest episode of the Franchise Fridays yet, until I get to like Friday the 13th or something like that, because that one's going to be monstrous. Alright guys, so I hope you'll come along with me and just see what's going on in this franchise, especially if you've never seen it before. So, I hope you'll join me. Alright you guys, so here, again on Franchise Fridays, let's go ahead and dig right into the first one. Wrong Turn. Alright you guys, so this is kind of, I'll give you the spiel here, and then that's kind of how we're going to go about each one of these sections of filming. So, the first one came out 2003. It's the first one. It was directed by Rob Schmidt, and I don't recognize anything else he is directed, so I'm just going to go with that. Looking at the cover art, we got our chick, our main star, Eliza Dushku. She's a badass chick. There's a part in this movie where she's like kind of overseeing like this wooded area, and she like steps up on one of the sidings to like a highway and stuff like that and just poses up. She's just one of those tough, badass chicks, and I have always liked her. She's really cool. Not in a ton of horror, but she does have other horror movies that she has been in, but I have not seen them, so I'm not really going to bring them up. Getting right into this movie, you guys, like I said, I'm not really going to do a plot synopsis or anything like that, because this isn't a review, but basically just, there's a car accident, and then there's people trying to get through the woods, trying to find a phone, trying to call for help, and they're just getting picked off one by one by these mutant freaks. A good way to describe this, because they mentioned this movie in this movie, is it's almost like an updated version of Deliverance. Instead of just like weird hillbillies, they're mutated hillbillies this time. And it's funny because they do mention Deliverance in this movie, which I thought was a good time. It's not a horror movie, but definitely scary enough if you have not checked that one out. One thing about this movie, it is the one and only in the franchise that doesn't have any nudity. I was reading about it and it said it didn't have any sex either, but there's a point where, like, you know, they're kind of leading into a sexual interaction. So I'm saying there is just a little bit of sex in there, but there's absolutely no nudity. So I think that's the one. I believe this is the only one in the franchise without that. I thought that was something I should mention. One thing I love about this movie is it gets right into it, you guys. It has 2 practically almost off-screen kills right at the beginning. Kind of gets you right into the mood of the movie, and then we kind of get to meet our characters soon after that. So I mean, this isn't one you're waiting around to like, oh, what's going on? What am I waiting for? This gets right into it, and I think that's one of the best things for this movie, especially being the first in the franchise. So, like I said, it's got the 3 hillbillies in this mutated hillbillies killing people. The 3 of them are called, one of them is called Three Finger, the other one's called Sawtooth, and the other one's called One Eye. And I believe Sawtooth is, or not Sawtooth, but Three Fingers is the only one that survives at the end. So, I mean, I do remember him continuing on. I don't think it's the same guy who plays him each time, but maybe I'll learn that as we go on. So for the body count in this one, there is a good, decent body count. There's about 8 kills overall. And I mean, they're just like a lot of like people getting ripped up and like having like razor wire through their mouth. One of them gets arrows. One of the mutant freaks is shooting arrows and stuff like that. So a lot of fun backwoodsy kills, and that's one of the things I love about this franchise is it mostly takes part in the woods. So it's almost kind of like Friday 13th-esque, camp-esque, but you know, there's run through the woods. So yeah. This is definitely a great film. I highly recommend it. I am not going to give my, this is my favorite one, this is my second one favorite until the end. Just like I did in the last one. I thought that was kind of a better situation. So, that's it for Wrong Turn. Hopefully you'll come back and check me out for Wrong Turn 2, and we'll keep this rocking and rolling. Franchise Fridays lives on. Alright, fellow junkies, you just took another wrong turn, or the right turn, it just depends on how you look at it. Right back here on the Franchise Fridays for Wrong Turn 2, Dead End, you guys. Alright, you guys, I just got done watching this one with a cool little tagline, "In the forest, only they can hear you scream." I don't know, I like little taglines like that. But as you can see, my little tagline for my little title page, this is the reality show one. So, let's go ahead and dive right into this Wrong Turn and see what you think and see what my thoughts about it. Alright, you guys, so this one came out in 2007, which kind of makes it kind of a big gap in between this one and the first one. First one being 2003, this one being 2007. You know, pretty big gap, but I mean, whatever. I don't think they expected this franchise to take off so much. So this one was directed by Joe Lynch, which is really cool. I'm a really big fan of Joe Lynch. I like seeing him do stuff. He's a good friend of Adam Green, who is the writer and creator of the Hatchet franchise. He's in a lot of his stuff, like Holliston. He's in his movies. I believe he's in Hatchet 4 with him. I think he makes an appearance in a few other ones. Maybe like Digging Up the Marrow, I believe. But he's with him a lot. Another thing Joe Lynch did direct was Mayhem from 2017 with the guy from Walking Dead in it. So, a little something for you. The star in this is the chick from the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Erica Learson. I probably butchered that, but we all know that, you know, I'm bound to do that every now and then. But like I said, you'll recognize her from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Even though in this movie she's got long hair, which is fine, but I mean, it's just, I didn't recognize her right at first. An honorable mention for this one is Henry Rollins is in this movie, which I think is really cool. He is one of the lead singers of the band Black Flag, which is awesome. And he also was in a movie called He Never Died, which came out in, when did that come out? Never wrote it down. So, that one was a few years ago now. I wouldn't imagine it's over 10. So, He Never Died, kind of a weird take on a vampire movie, if I remember correctly. Something cool about this movie, you guys, is Joe Lynch was reported saying that they used 300 gallons of blood to make this in the making of this movie, which I thought was really cool. Henry Rollins' kill alone was really bloody. Like, he was laying in a pile of blood. But basically, what's going on in this movie, basically, like I said, it's the reality show one. They're shooting a reality show, like a post-apocalyptic one, and just like the first one, all these people just start getting picked off by the mutants of this movie. So getting into the mutants of this one, it's kind of a family aspect a little bit. I mean, just, they go by Pa, Ma, brother, sister. That's their names. Cool thing about one of them, Pa, is played by Ken Kersinger, which is the guy who plays Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. So, big dude. So, and I like Ken Kersinger a lot. I feel like he did a good Jason. As well as one of the mutants returning from the first one, Three Finger, the one who survived at the end of the first one. He makes an appearance in this movie. I'm pretty sure he shows up in the whole franchise, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a good sequel. This one does have nudity and all that stuff, good stuff in it, so it's kind of back to formula as far as a horror movie. What else do I need to say about this movie? Get right into the body count. Just like the first one, 8 kills. I thought that was kind of weird. It's kind of the same number. I may have missed one. I don't think I did, because I think I got everyone accounted for. But, you know, shit happens when you party at your house alone for a week. All right, you guys. So that's kind of wrap it up for what I got to say about Wrong Turn 2, Dead End. And don't forget, at the end of this is when I'll do my rankings of my favorite to my least favorite. So that is coming, you guys. Let's ride on to Wrong Turn 3. And hopefully you'll take another wrong turn or right turn to come back and see me again. Ah, fellow junkies. Looks like you took another wrong turn, but this time you're going to be left for dead. Welcome back to Franchise Fridays of Wrong Turn. Yes, I just got done watching Wrong Turn 3, Left for Dead. Or, as I like to say, the one with the escaped convicts. Yeah. So, to get right into this, you guys, just to keep this rocking and rolling, this one was released in 2009. So, the second one being 2007 to 2009, not too bad. That's not as bad of a gap, so I think they're probably going to start cooking these out a little bit more. To get right into this one was directed by Declan O'Brien, who also directs part 4 and 5, and also does Joyride Part 3, which I thought was kind of cool, because I also like the Joyride series. That trilogy is pretty cool. I don't know, I felt like I should show you the cover art. It's pretty cool. Got a girl pressed up against a tree, and then looks like Three Finger running right at her. Alright, guys, so to get right into this movie, the star of this movie is Tom Frederick. I do not recognize anything else he is in. He doesn't even have his own picture on IMDb. Just saying. Not a lot to... I don't really have a ton to say about this one, you guys, because I feel like it was just... These are just starting to get cooked out now, and they're not taking much pride in them, but, you know, they know us horror fans, and we'll spend money to see these types of movies. So one thing I will mention is this movie has the least amount of mutants in it. This one only has 2, and one of them gets killed off very early. So we do have Three Finger, which comes back for this one, and also one called Three Toes. I believe it is the baby that you see at the end of Part 2. Well, you see him get born in the middle of Part 2, and in the end you see him with Three Finger. So, yeah, it's only those 2 in this movie. But one really kind of funny thing is that it has the least amount of mutants, but so far it has the most amount of kills in the franchise. This movie racked up 13 kills, and a lot of them were really cool. They got a lot cooler kills, some terrible CGI in this one, but that just kind of goes with the territory. So, like I was saying about this one, it is the escaped convict one. Basically, in the movie there's a bus getting transferred. All these convicts are going to another facility, and of course they're going through the back roads trying to make sure no one escapes, and yeah, Three Finger just wrecks their day. So basically takes out the bus, and so now they're all on foot, and he just starts picking them off one by one. So the escaped convict one. Funny story about this one is the very first time I watched it, I watched like the very first couple kills, and I turned it off because the CGI was terrible, and I just thought they weren't taking it seriously anymore, so I shut it off. Years later, I came back and I watched it again, and I really do like this one. I like the whole escaped convict one. This time around, it was a little hard for me to get through. I was getting a little tired, but I think that's just due to me being awake a lot. So, funny thing about this movie, you guys, is there is a cameo from one of the first movie in here. Yeah. The radio tower from the first one that catches on fire. Yeah, they go back to that area, and the radio tower is still burned down. So I thought that was kind of cool that they kind of rehashed from the first one. I would still love for Elijah Dushku to come back at some point. But, I mean, she says she wants to. That would be cool for her to come back at some point. But that's kind of all I got to say about Wrong Turn 3, Left for Dead, you guys. They're starting to slack a little bit on these, but it's still decent to watch. Still a lot of good kills and stuff. This probably had the most fun kills so far. Lots of razor wire. Lots and lots of razor wire. So that was kind of cool. But I mean, you got the freaks, mutant freaks trying to kill convicts. You got convicts beating the crap out of other convicts. So, I mean, they kind of got a lot going on. So it keeps me entertained. So, I hope that you are willing to take a couple more wrong turns with me, you guys. And come right back to Franchise Fridays. Alright, fellow junkies, we done did it again. We took another wrong turn. We gotta quit doing this. But welcome back to the Franchise Fridays for Wrong Turn. Now we're stepping into a little bit of a time travel episode on this one because we are going to the beginning. Not just any ordinary beginning, but the bloody beginnings. Yes, let's rock and roll right into Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings. So, to just go ahead and slice right into this, you guys. This movie came out in 2011. It was directed by the same guy who did Part 3, which is Declan O'Brien. I think I got it this time. Yeah, me pronouncing names. For now. So, there wasn't really a main star to this, I don't think. But the one I kind of picked out, her name is Jennifer Pudovic, however you say it. She was kind of like the standout one a little bit to me. She doesn't really do much else in as far as horror, but she did have a couple small parts in the Wishmaster 3 and 4, which there were two different parts, so I don't think it had too much merit to it. Yeah, so basically what's going on in this movie, you guys, you got a bunch of friends that are going out on a snowmobiling trip, and they're trying to get to a cabin, and the guy who owns the cabin or knows where the cabin's going gets turned around, and they kind of get themselves in a snowed into a insane asylum building. And turns out this insane asylum was home to where all the mutants have come from all this time. You kind of find out that they were, had a bunch of them in there. They were running tests on them and, like, seeing what's kind of the deal with them. So that's kind of where this whole thing takes place. It's kind of it's an insane asylum in like a snowy mountainscape. So, as you can see, you get snow in this movie, which is one of the reasons why this one always stands out to me, because I love horror movies that take place in the snow. So that's kind of the basic gist of the movie. One little fun fact about this movie is this is the only Wrong Turn movie in the franchise that doesn't have a kill with a bow and arrow. So I thought that was kind of cool. And seeing how this is a prequel, you do get reintroduced into the three original mutants from the first one. We had Three Fingers, One Eye, and Sawtooth. So you kind of get to see them as kids being in the insane asylum, seeing how they kind of escaped and kind of took over the insane asylum. And now you see them here with the kids that were snowmobiling, and they're, just picking them off one by one. And since they're not in the woods, they're kind of like in a place with all the surgical equipment. The kills are a lot different, which is cool. I mean, it's just a nice breath of fresh air for this franchise, I believe. There was one kill where this guy's just getting sliced up alive, and they were just like boiling it in oil and then eating it right in front of him. So I thought that was pretty intense. Pretty good amount of kills, pretty good stuff. Still a lot of barbed wire, which I thought was kind of interesting. I'm just like, I don't know how much barbed wire would be in an insane asylum, but I guess what do I know? But speaking of kills, this is another film with 13 kills, just like number 3 had 13. This one had 13 as well. So another good amount of kills. I would say they're still cooking, and I don't think they're boring or anything like that. One thing that's kind of cool about the mutants is that they kind of give reasons to why they became, Three Fingers. They're saying like he bit off these two fingers, and like we never found them, so they assumed he ate them. So that's how why he's got the little rock and roll hand, I guess. One Eye. I mean, they say he ate his own eye. I guess for shits and giggles, I guess. And then Sawteeth, I guess he just had abnormally large teeth, so he was like sharpening them on the concrete wall, and so they put him in a muzzle and stuff. So I mean, he did have Sawteeth because he sharpened those bad boys up. But I thought it was kind of cool, like, they paid attention to their names, and they kind of gave explanations. Not obviously the best explanations in the world, but they at least cared enough to do so. Shoot. I think that's kind of all I got for this one. That's Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings, you guys. Now my curiosity is, since this is a prequel, are the other two movies gonna go in between the prequel and Part 1? I don't really know. I've only watched the other two once, maybe. So I guess we'll see. We're gonna continue this Franchise Fridays on, and we're gonna keep taking these wrong turns so you can come back, and we'll keep talking about this franchise, you guys. Hope you're enjoying it, you guys. I'm really trying to keep it entertaining, and trying to bring up some stuff that might be kind of cool to learn about this franchise. This franchise doesn't get a lot of love, but I think it's worth it. Keep taking those wrong turns, guys. We'll be done soon. Alright, fellow junkies, let's go ahead and rock right back into this Franchise Fridays with Wrong Turn 5. Bloodlines. Yes, and this one is kind of a little bit near and dear to my heart. And I'll go ahead and get right into this so you can know why. Because this one's always I'm gonna always be a little biased with this one because that's just the way it is. So this one came out in 2012, and it's Wrong Turn 5, Bloodlines. Just make sure that I'm clear on that. Directed by Duncan O'Brien again. So I believe this is the last one he does in the franchise. But starring in this movie is someone that needs no introduction, someone that everybody in the horror fandom should know. This one has the one, the only, Doug Bradley in it. And if you don't know who Doug Bradley is, he is the guy who has played Pinhead every single time except the last two. So he is iconic, and no matter what, he makes this movie for me. I just love watching him in this. He's such a snarky asshole, and I just love it. Like, he just pops off all the time. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna get killed, you little bitch," and I just love it. There's one point in this movie where someone says, "Oh, thank God for you," and he's like, "Yeah, thank God for me." Like, I just feel like that's something Pinhead would say, even though I don't think anyone would say that about Pinhead, but I just thought that was really kind of cool that they kind of let him play that little joke, because he is Pinhead, and he's one of the roots of all evil. But like I said, I mean, he's Pinhead from Hellraiser. Doug Bradley needs no introduction. I think that's really awesome that he's in this. Something really cool about this movie, you guys, is it takes place at like a festival, like a Mountain Man festival. And so everyone kind of dresses up like a mountain man. But for pretty much everyone's just dressing up like the mutants that have been in the past few movies. So these mutants are able to kind of walk through town and not be noticed because they're just like, "Oh, those are really great costumes." So kind of a different take on it, but it's kind of cool that this whole movie basically takes place in town. Like, it's in the city. You can tell it's kind of like a set, but I still think it's kind of cool that it's in the city during this little festival. But yeah, the three mutants just come in and wreak havoc. The three mutants and Doug Bradley come in and just wreak havoc. One thing I will say is there was absolutely no one died using barbed wire in this movie, which I thought was kind of interesting. But being in the city, the kills were a lot different scope from the franchise itself. Speaking of the franchise, I was kind of talking about this a little bit. So number 4 is a prequel. So this one is in between the prequel and the first one. So this is the sequel to the prequel. I'm using that. The sequel to the prequel. I like that. And I believe part 6 is after this one. So the timeline is as follows. It'll go The Bloody Beginnings, Bloodlines, number 6, which is Last Resort, I believe, and then Wrong Turn 1, 2, and 3. And so that's kind of how the timeline of this works. So this is how this makes sense. So the three mutants in this are the originals again. Three Finger, One Eye, and Sawtooth. I don't know why I want to say teeth so bad. Are back in this, and I believe they're in the next one as well. But that's how that works. I mean, because we all know Sawtooth and One Eye died in part 1. Spoiler alert. And then Three Finger makes it all the way till the third one, and he dies at the end of that one. And I don't think I mentioned that until now. So there's that. So they are all killed off after 3. But now they're all in this one. So this is the prequel to the sequel, and we're moving on. So the body count for this one is, I believe, I counted up 9. I could be wrong. I could have missed a couple, but I'm pretty sure it was about 9. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. So, but like I said, I mean, this was a really good, different turn for a Wrong Turn movie, like being in the city and then just having a horror icon in it, just Doug Bradley. Really cool. They did kill somebody, like they put him in a barrel and like they drilled holes in it and then started a fire underneath him. So it's kind of like the Iron Bull like they did back in the day, which was kind of cool, I thought. A little more creative than we thought these guys could do. So that's pretty much it. That's Wrong Turn 5, Bloodlines. And you guys, the next one's the last one, unless they come out with another one soon. I'll have to add on to this. But we're almost there. One movie to go on this Franchise Fridays. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Let's rock on. Alright, fellow junkies, and welcome back to the Franchise Fridays for Wrong Turn for the last time, you guys. This is going to be the last installment of the Franchise Fridays for Wrong Turn. And you know what? It's always a sad occasion because, you know, I kind of get rolling on these and I just never want to stop. I like watching the movie, coming and filming, and, you know, I enjoy it. I really don't know why I don't pump more of these out, but I mean, you know, I'm getting to the point where I'm going to get into bigger and bigger franchises. I'm going to need more and more time, and yeah, I don't want to take such a big gap of time out from doing other videos. So, you know what? Let's go ahead and do this right. Let's just dive right in to Wrong Turn 6, The Last Resort. Currently is the last and final wrong turn. They keep talking about doing more wrong turns, and I'm all for it, you guys, because I really do like this franchise. I never really think about it much until I start watching them again, and, you know, there really isn't a terrible installment in my personal opinion. There's some that are lacking and some that aren't as good, yeah, but, you know, it is a franchise that, you know, for the concept, they always try to do something different. So, right into Wrong Turn 6, The Last Resort, before I start keep on going. This one was directed by Valery Milov. It's a male. I had to double check before I came and did this, because for a while I thought it was a female named Valerie. But it is a male. Look, I didn't really recognize anything else he directed. He hasn't directed much at this point, so... But I will say this is a good movie. I really do enjoy this one. Our star is Anthony Lott. Also, don't recognize anything else he's been in. So, to go ahead and get right into this movie, you guys. Basically, there's a suicide attempt, and this guy fails at killing himself or whatever. He's been going through a rough time or whatever. But then he gets a video and a letter saying that he's inherited a hotel through the family, and he doesn't really know his family, so he's going to go meet these people for the first time. And yeah, he's inherited a hotel. Turns out he's related to what we know now as the Hillikers, which is the family of the mutants that we've known throughout this entire franchise. And yeah, so he's related to them, and he's basically going to get his due, I guess. And he brings a group of friends with him, and slowly but surely they get picked off as he's learning more and more about his family, his past, and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's the basic gist of this movie, you guys. To talk about it, you guys, this one is incest to the max. Yes, we've seen incest through this franchise. It's not really, like, lucrative or anything like that, but this one is just thrown right in our face. It's thrown right into it. You're like, no one can resist you, sister, not even me. And it's just like, oh. So, yeah, if you have never seen this one, it's very, very incest oriented, but, I mean, it's still a good movie, you guys. It is just a movie, but, yeah, it's there, and it's right on Front Street. Another thing I want to talk about this movie got in a little bit of legal trouble, because apparently there's a scene where they have, like, a bunch of wanted posters, or not wanted posters, but missing posters. And I guess somehow a real missing poster of a real person who was missing got on there. And so they got in big, huge trouble. And so when you watch the movie, you will see like where all the wanted posters are at. It's all fuzzed out. So you can't see any of the pictures or anything like that. And except the picture they're hanging for one of the people that were murdered in the movie. So you see that one clear as day, but all the rest of them are fuzzed out so you can't see it. Apparently there's a poster on there with Zac Efron on it. I don't know. That's just something I read about, but you can't see it, so it's not something you can go looking for. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And not even just the wanted posters. Like, you walk into the hotel, they're looking at pictures of family and stuff like that. They're all kind of phased out. You can tell it's purposely, too. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and we might have almost not have gotten a chance to see this movie. So that would have been kind of bad, because this is one of the better ones, I feel like. So to get right into it, you guys, there's quite a lot of mutants in this movie, but there's still just the main three mutants that are killing. And this is following part 5, so the timeline follows. It goes part 4, the beginning, part 5, Bloodline, part 6, Last Resort, and then part 1. Part 2, Part 3. That is the timeline for Wrong Turn, but they don't pay attention, because in this one there's like GoPros and stuff like that, and like they have like all the fancy doodad phones and whatnot, and so, you know, Part 1 they didn't really have all that super nice stuff yet. I mean, we were getting it, it was in progress, but I mean, it wasn't there yet, because the first one came out in like 2003, and I don't think we had like, you know, jazzy phones just yet. I mean, they were there, but I mean, you know, it wasn't as abundant as it is now. So they didn't really pay attention to the timeline or anything like that. But I mean, overall, I still feel like it fits pretty decently well. It's just like they put phones in Bates Motel, even though that's way back in the time. It's just don't pay attention to it. So like you said, Three Finger is in it, One Eye is back in it, and Sawtooth is back in it. And this is probably the first time I've said his name correctly. One thing about Sawtooth I want to mention, he is played by Danko Jordanov, and he's also played the on The Hills Run Red. He played Babyface, which I thought was kind of cool. And if you haven't checked that movie out, definitely check it out. So to get right in the body count, you guys, there was counted up 11 kills in this. So another decent body count. That's one thing about this franchise, is each movie has a pretty decent body count. I don't feel like any one of them is lacking. And in this one, I mean, since it's taking place in like a hotel, I mean, kind of evolved kills. I mean, one of them was really weird. They shoved a fire hose up this kid's ass and just started unleashing the water, and his stomach burst. I was like, you know, so at least they're trying to use different things. So that's about all I have to say about Part 6, you guys. I mean, fantastic film. I really like the way they went with this one. Alright, guys, so now I'll go ahead and talk about overall this franchise. To me, I don't feel like there is a bad installment. Yeah, there's some that are lacking, just like I was saying. But overall, it's really well done. It's got decent practical effects, but it also has really shitty CGI. Some of them, they keep regurgitating the same exact stuff, you know, being in the woods, bows and arrows, barbed wire, stuff like that. But I feel like overall, each one tries to do its own thing. Like the first one, just being the first one, didn't really have to do anything. The second one, they had the reality show. The third one, they had the escaped convicts. The fourth one was the prequel, which was in a snowy area in an insane asylum. The fifth one, there was in a city with a big old party going on, the Mountain Man Festival. And this one was completely just in its own realm, kind of. I mean, like, they're at a hotel, they have a big, huge family, and like, we keep to our own, and so, you know, that's how we stay pure, blah, 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 all that stuff. So, I mean, I feel like it's a very well-rounded franchise, and I really highly recommend you check it out if you haven't seen it yet. So, last but not least, you guys, what I do here is I will go through my ranking of the entire franchise, from my favorite to my least favorite, but yeah, my favorite to my least favorite, because I don't dislike any of them. So my favorite Wrong Turn movie has to go to the first one, Wrong Turn. I mean, I just absolutely love this movie, and I don't really have much else to say about it, because it is a fantastic film. It has stood the test of time, because I feel like they took this one very seriously, and they didn't try to make them silly, kind of like the sequels. But I mean, even though they're silly, they're still fantastic movies. My second favorite is going to be Wrong Turn 2, Dead End. Honestly, Henry Rollins, I just love him in this movie. And I mean, it just continues on with the story, and I just feel like it's a good continuation. Alright, so for number 3 spot is going to be Wrong Turn 6, The Last Resort. I just love this movie. I feel like the people that made it really, really paid attention to, you know, the franchise, and, you know, they didn't want to regurgitate the same exact thing, so they made their own thing, and it worked. And I gotta commend them for that. So, number 3 spot for Part 6. So number 4, this is me being completely 100% biased, and that's going to be Wrong Turn 5, Bloodlines. Literally, this would probably be at the bottom, but the fact it has Doug Bradley in it just kind of makes it a little higher than it should be. But, you know, sue me. I mean, I can't help it. I love Doug Bradley in this movie. Alright, so 5th spot is going to go to Wrong Turn Part 4, Bloody Beginnings. A fantastic prequel. I feel like they pay attention to the franchise, and they don't do it any wrong. They don't think they hurt it, and I really don't feel like this was like a movie that, like, sometimes when you do prequels, it kind of it screws up the franchise, and they can't make any more. But, with this timeline, they straight up have gone all Insidious with it. It's all topsy-turvy and all over the place, but, I mean, they still stick to the basics, and I like that. And so my least favorite is going to go to Wrong Turn 3, Left 4 Dead. I mean, not a bad movie by any means. It was the most lacking, and it was the hardest for me to watch and hardest to get through. I was just ready to be done with it, so that's why it's at my bottom. So like I said, you guys, that is my ranking for the Wrong Turn franchise. Let me know down in the comments what your ranking might be if you've seen this whole franchise. Let me know what you think about Wrong Turn altogether. So you guys, that's going to do it for this Franchise Fridays. Thank you for joining me. I know these ones get a little bit long as I have to watch so many different movies, and I can't help but stop I don't stop talking sometimes. So, like I said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and this is going to do it for me. Kyle13 signing out. Just until next time, and you guys already know it, I've been sentenced to life. I'm a horror lifer. Hopefully you guys will stick around with Horror Junkies 509, because I always got some great stuff coming, great stuff cooking, and that's going to do it. You guys, have a killer day.